Welcome to Road Testament. I'm Mike Spinelli, and here's JF Musial.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, JF.
That's fast, right?
It's very fast, very formal. Hit us up on @DriveTV if you want to say something to us, and or leave a comment in the comments. And that's important because today we're going to reference one of our commenters, Dan Fredrickson, who not only hates Drive,
he consistently bashes Drive in the comments, and he always comes back. And I love you because our advertisers love you because it's a view.
Well,
so. Keep coming, dude. Keep refreshing that video every time you want to see those comments.
He keeps coming back to let us know that he hates internal combustion engines and that electric cars are the future.
Which, you want to know something? I agree with.
Well, I have a soft spot for technology.
Yeah.
But screw that, because today we're going to talk about stuff that is gone from cars that we really, really like.
So
and
this
we
is
wish
all,
we're still there.
This is all for Dan.
This is for Dan.
This is all for you, Dan.
You know, he thinks that we're sort of worshiping the steam engine, as it were, that we are being very retrograde. But screw it,
because the steam engine had no influence over the Industrial Revolution or anything important.
But once the diesel engine came out, were there people that were sort of lusting after
steam engines?
Screw the
steam. Screw clean technology.
Screw it. Anyway, so
even though steam is not.
So the first thing that these are things that we miss about cars.
Yes.
And wish that they would come back. Steering wheels. And I say this because now that there are airbags in the middle.
Wait, so cars don't have steering wheels anymore?
No.
They have
two joysticks. Oh, you didn't know that? No. The problem with modern cars is the airbag has eliminated the possibility of a cool-looking steering wheel. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, it's much safer, but look at this. This is a Honda S600 sports car. A Honda had like the cool wooden surround and the metal.
That's
spokes.
so cool. You want to know something? I do agree with you. That is something that's very cool.
When you get
the
in your car,
Blastoline story, remember from Matt Farah's Tuned episode? You can go click back on that.
Wait, hold on that.
No. Okay. All right.
No. Well, or you could. Well, say you
that
were saying.
That had the cool the yacht steering wheel.
Exactly.
So cool.
When you get in your car in the morning and you get behind a wooden steering wheel like this one or the next one. Like the E-Type, the Jag, like the Jag wheel, like you got behind a wheel.
It's a Series
that
1
was cool.
E-Type. That's awesome.
Exactly.
It's very cool. Yeah.
So I miss that. Obviously, granted, nowadays, if you get into an accident, a giant pillow comes out in front of you and
this one just
protects your head.
You just get splintered.
This one, your head just goes through there, and you die immediately. What's it? Well, all right, wait, look at this one. Now, seriously, like this is an old Mercury. And look at how, I don't even know what this is. Is this like aspic?
No,
is this,
was this,
are there like bugs in there?
You're thinking of Jurassic Park right there.
Exactly.
This is, I think, epoxy, like kind of resin with plastic. It's some kind of resin.
But resin, whatever, it's cool. But and obviously not really safe.
Look at those little handles.
But look at these are probably
badass.
Yeah, it's totally badass. Modern cars, you can't get a steering wheel like that anymore.
Do we have another one? No.
What else we got? I think that's it.
No, you want to know something? The things, you're wrong. There's other things you need in cars.
I'm wrong, or I'm wrong because there are other things, or you just don't think that steering wheels are a big deal?
I think that you can go much further than that. Much further than that.
In nostalgia?
Of course, of course. So, gauges and shift knobs. So, 66 Ford Mustang.
Okay.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Cool, right? To the floor, big ass. The shift is as if you're, trying to punch someone right there. That's cool.
What were you doing? Is that whack-a-mole? that vertical whack-a-mole.
But of course, the next one is this is...
What is that?
These are gauges. This is off a 240D. So my brother has a 240D.
This is Mercedes?
Yeah, I actually learned how to drive stick.
Whose foot is that, by the way? Is that somebody? Is that your brother's
I don't know.
foot?
I took it off Google Images.
Okay.
I learned how to drive stick on a 240D, by the way. 4-speed, 88 horsepower, slow as but I love it. But the gauges on these are so badass. Very badass.
Okay.
But now that we're speaking of Mercedes, I think that there's something that I really miss about cars. Something that is so incredibly important, right?
What's that?
That you can take old Mercedes, or a lot of the old cars are built like tanks, and you can just go off and actually go to Africa and rally.
Really? Oh yeah.
Why can't you just
take
buy the car, put an antenna on it, not even a cage, just seat belts, more than a lap belt, and then take it off roading with good tires?
Well, you don't think there are modern cars that could deal with that? Like you don't think a
right
Subaru,
out of the showroom?
right out of the showroom could do that?
Maybe an S. No.
Well, so
No.
I mean, all right, granted,
Too many plastic
these were
pieces.
over-engineered and
Exactly.
bulletproof. All right, I get you.
I
I get what
want
you're saying.
tanks. I want a tank that will take the East Africa safari and just go like that to it.
Just give it. Give it. Oh, you know what? All right. So what's next? I have. Here you go. Hubcaps.
Okay.
Now, did you know that these were Corvette hubcaps?
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Early
I can
60s.
tell by the flags, the Corvette symbol.
Right.
Flags.
Now, how cool was that, right? You could change the look of your car by way. I mean, and I'm not talking about cheap Kmart hubcaps that came back. And yeah, of course, some cars still have hubcaps, but not like the metal, the constructed metal hubcaps. Like, look at this, right?
I'm looking and I'm not impressed.
I mean, all right. Granted, it's a fake version of the Porsche Fuchs wheel.
We do have hubcaps on cars these days.
I know they do, but
they're
look crappy.
plastic.
And they look like
So
crap.
you're referring to the metal.
The old metal hubcaps that, you know, when you were when you were in a car chase, right? You would turn and the hubcap would just keep going the same way.
That's all you want.
Yeah, the whole.
So why don't you just put a
Hawaii 5.0
hubcap
thing.
on your rim and then just have a mechanism that releases?
You
Or
could
just
do
put crappy glue on it so it just flings
That's
off
probably
on a
what
San
they. I'll have to
Francisco
talk to
street.
the old prop guy from Hawaii 5.0 to see how they got the hubcap
I think
to fall off.
hubcaps are a completely stupid answer, just so you know.
Look at that! Look how you were talking about your favorite Mercedes. Look at how cool that is.
That's cool, but no, you don't want those back on
Really?
cars. Why would you want that?
Because they're cool.
No, they're not.
No.
No.
Why? No, seriously. All right. No.
The asset collection team has proven me right.
All right, wait a
because
minute.
that's why. Because you can go into any, let's just say, subdeveloped neighborhood and find this picture. And because of that, you know, if you owned a car with hubcaps, you would find your hubcap stolen and then being sold in a pawn shop 2 days later.
Well, that's true because
So you have to buy your
that,
hubcap.
That actually used to happen to us. The kids would steal our hubcaps. I mean, because I'm of advanced age, enough old enough to remember when
advanced age. Okay.
At my advanced age, I remember when our hubcaps would get stolen, and we'd go around the corner to this guy selling hubcaps, and like those were our hubcaps. We had to buy them back for like $10 a pop,
This is so
and then they would steal them again, and we'd have to go back to the guys. Like we were only renting our own hubcaps.
This is so typical Rahway, New Jersey, right there.
Totally. So yeah, I mean,
So you're wrong.
I don't know. Well, I still miss them. I mean, look at that. This is cool.
You got some wire wheels hidden in there.
That's just a piece of wire. I don't know if that's an actual piece of wire.
Oh, right there. Right there, see?
Oh,
right
back
there.
down here. Yeah, all right, cool.
So,
cool.
I don't know. What's
All right.
next? Anything good?
All right, I'll give you the next one,
What?
pop-up headlamps.
No.
Now, you know why they did that, right?
No, but tell me.
Because the Department of Transportation mandated back in the day that headlights had to be round.
The U.S. Department of Transportation.
Yeah.
So that told the Italians, no, screw you, you're going to make something ugly.
Well, it gave designers
a challenge.
a challenge.
Much
that they
like
had to-
the front pedestrian crash standards on all cars today, where they have to have a flat front, right?
Right. Well,
And plastic grills.
Do you remember the Avanti had those round headlamps?
I'm not of an advanced age, so I
Thank
don't.
you very much, asshole. Anyway, so Corvette,
Terrible.
C3 Corvette. Come on,
You wanna know
terrible.
something? I like the design of the car, but I hate when the lights are up. No, stupid.
Well, that's why I didn't include any photos of the car with the lights up because when they're up, they look stupid. I mean, that's just the way
What's
it goes.
next? Which one?
See?
This is the one that would have proven me wrong.
Exactly, the exception that proves the JF rule.
This is cool. I do like
the
NSX.
first gen.
Because this looks
NSX.
better than the Gen 2 with the headlights built in.
I agree. I happen to agree that
This looks much better.
and this was even
As long as
after
it
they
doesn't
changed the
drive
law.
at night. I don't want to see it driving at night.
Well, because you don't like to see them up.
Bingo. But driving in during the day?
Again,
Cool.
another problem is that now if you buy one used, half the time the motor's busted and you got
Yeah.
like one up and one down. And it looks like you're winking at everybody.
Yeah.
It's really stupid.
Yeah.
But
Anything
anyway,
else?
that's one thing I miss about old cars.
Anything else?
What else we got?
No, that's it.
At Drive TV, Twitter. What do you think? What do you miss about old cars?
Dan-
And Dan Fredrickson,
This is for you.
this one's for you. Nostalgia, baby.
Keep bringing it.
100%.
Keep bringing it.
Bring on your.
He really hates us.
He hates.
And I love how the other commenters are just going right at him.
They're going at him. Anyway, Road Testament. JF,
Mike.
good to see you.